What if I told you that the world's richest tech genius found himself begging for help from someone who's never owned a smartphone? When Elon Musk's most ambitious Mars project hit a devastating roadblock, his engineers pointed him to an unlikely solution, hidden in an Amish village. The fate of SpaceX's billion-dollar mission now rested in the hands of a master blacksmith who'd never seen a Tesla, let alone a rocket ship. What ancient secret could this humble craftsman possess that modern technology couldn't replicate? And why did Musk keep this encounter hidden from the public for years? The collision of these two worlds would reveal a truth that challenges everything we thought we knew about innovation. What happens next will make you question whether we've been approaching progress all wrong. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. In a world where technology and tradition rarely intersect, an extraordinary encounter is about to unfold in the heart of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Who could have predicted that one of the world's most prominent tech visionaries would find himself among the horse-drawn buggies and hand-tilled fields of an Amish community? The arrival of Elon Musk, with his electric Tesla Model X, creates an immediate ripple through the peaceful farmlands, challenging both the visitor and the villagers to confront their deeply held beliefs about progress, simplicity, and the true meaning of innovation. The contrast between Musk's arrival and the daily rhythm of Amish life couldn't be more striking. As his sleek, silent vehicle glides past the weathered wooden fences and traditional farmhouses, local families pause in their daily tasks, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and concern. The children, typically occupied with their chores, steal glances at the unusual sight while their elders exchange knowing looks, perhaps sensing that their community's peaceful existence is about to face an unprecedented test. The Amish elders, led by Bishop Samuel Stoltzfus, maintain their composure, despite the unexpected visitor. Their measured response reflects generations of practiced restraint and adherence to their principles of simplicity and separation from the modern world. Yet, even their steadfast demeanor cannot completely mask the underlying tension, as Musk's presence represents everything their way of life has deliberately chosen to avoid. Musk's initial attempts to navigate the cultural landscape prove challenging. His usual confident stride seems slightly hesitant as he steps out of his vehicle, conscious of the stark disparity between his high-tech attire and the plain dress of those around him. The tech entrepreneur's typical fast-paced, future-focused mindset encounters a community that deliberately moves at a different speed, raising questions about what truly drives human progress. The village's reaction to Musk's presence varies across generations. The younger members of the community, though raised in the traditional ways, display subtle signs of intrigue about the visitor from the English world. Their furtive glances and whispered conversations suggest an internal struggle between their ingrained values and natural curiosity about the outside world. How will this generational dynamic influence the unfolding events? The initial interaction between Musk and the community occurs near the village's central meeting house, where the confluence of old and new creates an almost surreal tableau. Musk's attempts to explain his presence are met with polite but reserved responses, as the community members maintain their traditional practice of humility and simplicity. The language barrier becomes apparent not just in terms of dialect, but in the fundamental way each party views the world and its future. The atmosphere grows more complex as word of Musk's arrival spreads through the community. The news travels, in the traditional Amish way, through personal conversations and word of mouth, rather than the instant digital communications Musk is accustomed to. This contrast in information flow becomes a metaphor for the larger differences between these two worlds, raising questions about the speed at which society should embrace change. The practical implications of Musk's presence begin to emerge as the community grapples with maintaining their daily routines. The arrival of such a high-profile visitor threatens to disrupt the delicate balance of their isolated existence. The community's leadership must now address not only the immediate situation, but also the potential long-term implications of this unexpected encounter. What precedent might this set for future interactions with the outside world? As the sun begins to set over the farmlands, the initial shock of Musk's arrival gives way to a more nuanced tension. The community's evening activities continue, but with an undercurrent of uncertainty about what the coming days might bring. The contrast between Musk's technology-driven vision of the future and the Amish commitment to traditional values sets the stage for a deeper exploration of progress, purpose, and the various paths to human fulfillment. The day's events leave both sides contemplating the implications of this unlikely meeting. For the Amish, it presents a test of their resolve to maintain their way of life in the face of modern influence. For Musk, it offers a rare opportunity to encounter a community that has consciously chosen to reject the technological revolution he champions. How will these opposing worldviews find common ground? And what insights might each gain from the other? The fundamental clash between technological progress and traditional simplicity manifested immediately as Elon Musk attempted to navigate the social protocols of the Amish community. His instinctive reach for his smartphone to document the experience met with quiet yet noticeable disapproval from the gathered villagers who had never permitted such devices in their midst. How could two worlds, separated by centuries of technological evolution, find common ground? The Amish elders, led by Samuel Stoltzfus, approached Musk with measured curiosity. Their well-worn hands, calloused from generations of manual labor, contrasted sharply with Musk's keyboard-trained fingers. The initial exchange highlighted the vast communication gap. While Musk spoke of neural links and space exploration, the elders discussed crop rotation and barn-raising techniques. Yet beneath these apparent differences lay a surprising commonality. Both parties sought solutions to humanity's challenges, albeit through radically different approaches. The women of the community observed from a respectful distance, their practical wisdom evident in their measured gazes. Sarah Yoder, known for her diplomatic skills in dealing with the English world, stepped forward to bridge the growing awkwardness. Her simple question about Musk's journey to their village opened an unexpected channel of dialogue. What emerged was not just a conversation about transportation methods, but a deeper discussion about the purpose of progress itself. Children peeked from behind their parents' plain clothing, their natural curiosity temporarily overwhelming their taught reserve. Musk's presence represented everything their community had chosen to live without, yet their young minds couldn't help but wonder about the world he represented. Would this encounter plant seeds of doubt in their traditional worldview, or strengthen their conviction in their chosen path? The community's reaction to Musk's presence revealed complex layers of their relationship with the modern world. While they had deliberately chosen to live apart from technological advancement, they were not ignorant of it. Their selective adoption of certain technologies demonstrated a thoughtful, rather than reactive approach to progress. Could Musk, the embodiment of technological disruption, learn something from their deliberate pace of change? As the initial shock of Musk's arrival settled, practical matters came to the fore. The Amish's well-established protocols for hosting visitors faced an unprecedented test. Their guest houses, typically reserved for traveling plain folk, would now shelter someone whose daily life depended on the very devices they prohibited. How would they accommodate not just his physical presence, but his digital dependencies? The community's craftsmen viewed Musk with particular interest. Their mastery of traditional manufacturing techniques represented a different kind of innovation, one based on generations of refined skill rather than technological advancement. The precision of their woodworking and the efficiency of their farming methods challenged the assumption that progress necessarily required electricity and computers. Musk's attempts to explain his various enterprises, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, met with polite but perplexed attention. The Amish concept of progress focused on strengthening community bonds and maintaining harmony with nature. Their questions about the purpose of space exploration and artificial intelligence forced Musk to articulate his vision in more fundamental human terms. What constituted genuine advancement for humanity? The afternoon light cast long shadows as the community's daily rhythm continued despite their unusual visitor. The sound of horses and buggies returning from the fields provided a steady counterpoint to Musk's descriptions of electric vehicles and autonomous systems. This juxtaposition of transportation methods sparked discussions about the true cost of convenience and the value of self-reliance. The evening brought the community together for their shared meal, a practice that highlighted another stark contrast. While Musk was accustomed to working through meals while managing his global enterprises, the Amish approached dining as a sacred time for fellowship and Thanksgiving. Could their emphasis on personal presence over digital connectivity offer insights into maintaining human connections in an increasingly virtual world? As the first day drew to a close, both sides found themselves re-evaluating their preconceptions. The Amish community's deliberate choices about technology revealed a sophisticated understanding of its social impacts. Meanwhile, Musk's exposure to their intentional lifestyle raised questions about the unexamined assumptions driving technological progress. What lessons might each party learn from this unlikely encounter? The first official meeting between Elon Musk and Isaac Miller, the respected elder of the Lancaster Amish community, took place in a modest wooden structure that served as the community's gathering hall. The encounter, which would later be remembered as a pivotal moment in the unlikely partnership between Silicon Valley innovation and traditional Amish craftsmanship, began with an awkward silence that spoke volumes about the cultural chasm between the two worlds. Isaac Miller, known for his thoughtful deliberation and unwavering commitment to Amish principles, had initially expressed reservations about meeting with the tech entrepreneur. What could a man who built electric cars and dreamed of Mars colonies possibly have in common with a community that deliberately chose to live without modern technology? Yet the potential economic benefits for his community had convinced him to at least hear Musk's proposition. The meeting started with Musk attempting to explain his vision for sustainable energy and transportation, but his usual rapid-fire delivery and technical terminology met with blank stares from Miller and the other Amish elders present. How could concepts like kilowatt hours and lithium-ion batteries resonate with people who used horse-drawn buggies and oil lamps? The disconnect became increasingly apparent as Musk's presentation progressed. Miller's responses were measured and sparse, each word carefully chosen. He questioned not just the practical aspects of Musk's proposals, but their fundamental alignment with Amish values. The discussion turned to the community's concerns about preserving their way of life while potentially engaging in business with a technology company. Would this collaboration compromise their principles? Could they maintain their independence while working with such a different entity? The tension in the room heightened when Musk, accustomed to quick decisions and immediate action, grew visibly frustrated with the Amish elders' methodical approach to decision-making. His attempts to accelerate the conversation were met with gentle but firm reminders about the importance of careful consideration in Amish culture. The clash of paces became a metaphor for the larger cultural divide they needed to bridge. As the meeting progressed, an unexpected dynamic emerged. Miller's questions, though simple, forced Musk to reconsider his approach. The Amish elders' emphasis on community impact and long-term sustainability challenged Musk's typically technology-focused solutions. What began as a straightforward business proposition evolved into a deeper discussion about values, progress, and the true meaning of innovation. The language barrier proved to be more than just technical terms versus plain speech. Musk's corporate jargon contrasted sharply with Miller's practical, experience-based wisdom. The Amish elders' questions about how this partnership would affect family life, community bonds, and traditional practices revealed a perspective that Musk had not fully considered in his initial proposal. The meeting took an unexpected turn when Miller shared stories of how the Amish community had previously adapted to external pressures while maintaining their core values. These examples of selective adaptation offered a potential framework for collaboration, suggesting that perhaps there was a middle ground between Tesla's cutting-edge technology and Amish traditional craftsmanship. The discussion of practical matters revealed complex challenges. How would payment systems work with a community that largely operated outside the banking system? What about liability insurance, quality control standards, and production schedules? Each question highlighted the need for creative solutions that could respect both modern business requirements and Amish traditions. As the meeting drew to a close, both parties had gained new insights. Musk, known for his bold visions and rapid execution, had encountered a different kind of innovation, one that prioritized community harmony and careful deliberation over technological advancement. Miller and the other elders had seen that, despite his modern approach, Musk shared their concern for environmental stewardship and sustainable practices. The outcome remained uncertain. Miller would need to consult with the broader community, a process that could take weeks or even months. For Musk, this timeline represented a significant departure from his usual fast-paced decision-making style. Would this cultural clash prove insurmountable, or could it lead to an unprecedented collaboration that might benefit both worlds? The meeting concluded with a handshake between Musk and Miller, a simple gesture that belied the complexity of the potential partnership they had discussed. The real work of finding common ground and building mutual understanding was just beginning. Could these two vastly different approaches to life and work find a way to complement each other? Or would the cultural differences prove too great to overcome? The cultural chasm between Elon Musk and Isaac Miller might have remained unbridgeable, if not for the timely intervention of Rebecca Miller. As Isaac's daughter and a respected figure in both the Amish and English communities, Rebecca possessed a unique ability to navigate between these distinct worlds. Her background in sustainable agriculture and her experience working with modern technology companies positioned her perfectly to understand both perspectives. Rebecca's initial approach focused on establishing common ground between her father's traditional values and Elon's innovative vision. Having witnessed the growing challenges faced by Amish farmers in maintaining their way of life amid increasing environmental pressures, she recognized the potential benefits of Tesla's sustainable energy solutions. But how could these modern solutions be implemented while preserving the essential aspects of Amish culture? The answer emerged through Rebecca's careful analysis of Amish principles regarding technology. Contrary to popular belief, the Amish do not universally reject all forms of modern technology. Instead, they evaluate each innovation based on its impact on family and community bonds. Rebecca emphasized this nuanced approach in her discussions with both parties, highlighting how solar energy aligned with the Amish commitment to environmental stewardship and self-sufficiency. During a crucial meeting at the Miller farm, Rebecca presented a comprehensive proposal that addressed both technological and cultural considerations. She outlined how solar panels could be integrated into existing farm operations without disrupting traditional practices. The energy generated would power essential agricultural equipment and storage facilities, while excess power could benefit neighboring farms through a community-based distribution system. What made Rebecca's intervention particularly effective was her deep understanding of the decision-making process within the Amish community. She recognized that any significant change required not just individual acceptance, but community consensus. Working through the local church council, she facilitated discussions that examined the proposed changes through the lens of Amish values and beliefs. The technical aspects of the proposal required careful consideration. Rebecca worked with Tesla's engineers to develop modified solar systems that could function within Amish parameters. These adaptations included simplified maintenance procedures and control systems that aligned with Amish technology guidelines. But would these modifications satisfy both Tesla's performance standards and Amish principles? The negotiation process revealed unexpected areas of alignment between Tesla's mission and Amish values. Both emphasized sustainability, community welfare, and responsible resource management. Rebecca highlighted these parallels, demonstrating how modern sustainable technology could enhance rather than threaten traditional ways of life. Her approach helped shift the conversation from one of conflict to one of potential collaboration. Education played a crucial role in Rebecca's strategy. She organized workshops where Tesla representatives could learn about Amish culture and values, while Amish community members could understand the principles behind solar technology. These sessions fostered mutual respect and understanding, essential for the project's success. What emerged was a growing recognition that environmental stewardship could serve as a bridge between traditional and modern approaches to sustainability. The process of building trust required patience and persistence. Rebecca established regular meetings between key stakeholders, ensuring that concerns were addressed promptly and transparently. She maintained careful documentation of all discussions and decisions, respecting both the formal requirements of Tesla's corporate structure and the verbal tradition of Amish business practices. The breakthrough came when Rebecca successfully demonstrated how the proposed solar installation could operate within existing Amish networks of mutual aid and support. She developed a model where the technology could strengthen rather than disrupt community bonds, incorporating traditional barn-raising principles into the installation process. This approach resonated deeply with both the Amish commitment to community and Tesla's mission of accelerating sustainable energy adoption. As discussions progressed, Rebecca's role evolved from mediator to project architect. Her understanding of both worlds enabled her to anticipate and address potential conflicts before they arose. She developed protocols for maintenance and operation that respected Amish traditions while ensuring the system's effectiveness. How would these protocols serve as a model for future collaborations between technology companies and traditional communities? The impact of Rebecca's intervention extended beyond the immediate project. Her approach created a framework for respectful engagement between modern technology companies and traditional communities. The success of her mediation demonstrated that cultural preservation and technological advancement need not be mutually exclusive. What other opportunities might exist for similar collaborations in other traditional communities? Through Rebecca's careful guidance, what began as a challenging encounter evolved into a promising partnership. Her intervention not only bridged the immediate cultural divide, but also established a precedent for how traditional communities could engage with modern sustainable technology on their own terms. The question remained, how would this unique collaboration influence future interactions between technology companies and traditional societies? The introduction of traditional craftsmanship methods into Thomson Technology's modern production line sparked immediate resistance from Jared Thompson, the company's lead engineer. With 20 years of experience in industrial automation and a master's degree in mechanical engineering, Thompson's skepticism stemmed from both professional expertise and deeply ingrained beliefs about efficiency. During the initial implementation meeting, Thompson methodically outlined his concerns about incorporating handcrafted elements into their established manufacturing process. His primary argument centered on the inherent variability of human craftsmanship, which he believed could compromise the consistency that had become Thomson Technology's hallmark. How could a company built on precision and repeatability suddenly embrace methods that seemed to contradict these fundamental principles? Thomson's objections extended beyond mere technical considerations. The proposed integration of traditional techniques would require significant modifications to the existing production line, potentially disrupting the carefully calibrated workflows he had spent years perfecting. The engineer presented detailed statistical analyses showing how manual processes could introduce unpredictable variables into their quality control metrics. The financial implications particularly troubled Thompson, who had always prided himself on maintaining optimal operational efficiency. His calculations indicated that incorporating traditional craftsmanship would increase production time by approximately 27%, with a corresponding rise in labor costs. These figures seemed to validate his position that modernization and automation represented the only viable path forward for manufacturing excellence. Thompson's resistance also reflected a broader philosophical divide within the industry. As someone who had witnessed the transformative power of technological advancement throughout his career, he struggled to reconcile the value of traditional methods with contemporary manufacturing demands. What place could ancient techniques possibly have in an era of artificial intelligence and robotics? The engineer's concerns resonated with many of his colleagues in the technical department, who shared his commitment to data-driven decision-making. They questioned whether customer appreciation for handcrafted elements could offset the potential risks to their established quality standards. Would the market truly value these traditional touches enough to justify the operational compromises? Thompson's skepticism manifested in detailed technical memoranda that circulated throughout the company's management levels. His arguments were grounded in concrete metrics, cycle times, defect rates, resource utilization, and cost projections. Each document reinforced his conviction that the proposed changes threatened the company's competitive advantage in an increasingly automated marketplace. The tension between innovation and tradition became particularly evident during production planning meetings. Thompson consistently advocated for automated solutions, presenting alternative proposals that would achieve similar aesthetic results through mechanical means. His suggestions emphasized the importance of maintaining precise control over every aspect of the manufacturing process. The engineer's position reflected a broader debate within the manufacturing sector about the role of human craftsmanship in an increasingly automated world. While some industries had successfully integrated traditional elements into modern production, Thompson remained unconvinced that such a hybrid approach could work for their specific product line. What precedents existed for successfully balancing these seemingly contradictory methodologies? Thompson's expertise and dedication to excellence had earned him considerable influence within the company, making his opposition to the traditional craftsmanship initiative a significant obstacle. His concerns raised important questions about the fundamental nature of quality and the true meaning of craftsmanship in contemporary manufacturing. The situation highlighted the challenge of bridging the gap between technical efficiency and cultural heritage. Could modern engineering principles coexist with traditional craftsmanship methods? The answer would require careful consideration of both quantitative metrics and qualitative values, challenging all parties to expand their understanding of manufacturing excellence. Thompson's skepticism served as a crucial counterpoint in the ongoing dialogue about the company's future direction. His technical expertise and analytical approach ensured that any decisions about incorporating traditional methods would need to be thoroughly justified from both operational and economic perspectives. What compromises might be possible between these competing visions of manufacturing excellence? The engineer's position represented more than just resistance to change. It reflected a genuine concern for maintaining the high standards that had built Thompson Technologies' reputation. His skepticism forced the company to confront fundamental questions about the relationship between tradition and innovation in modern manufacturing. The reverberations of Jared Thompson's skepticism spread through the workshop like ripples in still water, eventually reaching Isaac Chen at his workbench. The master craftsman's weathered hands paused over the intricate wooden joint he had been fashioning, his attention drawn to the mounting tension that had been building since the engineering team's arrival. When Sarah Martinez, the project coordinator, approached Isaac with the formal request to integrate modern manufacturing methods into his traditional processes, his response emerged from decades of dedication to his craft. "The techniques I use have been refined over generations," Isaac explained, his voice carrying the weight of conviction rather than confrontation. "These methods aren't just about efficiency. They're about understanding the material's soul." The fundamental disconnect between Isaac's philosophy and the corporation's objectives became immediately apparent. While the company sought to streamline production and increase output, Isaac's approach centered on the intimate relationship between craftsman and material. How could these two seemingly opposing worldviews find common ground? The situation grew more complex as other workshop artisans watched the exchange unfold. Many of them had trained under Isaac, learning not just techniques but a whole approach to craftsmanship that valued patience and precision over speed and volume. Their loyalty to these principles now faced its greatest test: adapt to modern methods or risk becoming obsolete in an evolving market. Sarah Martinez, demonstrating remarkable diplomatic skill, attempted to bridge the gap between tradition and innovation. "We're not suggesting a complete overhaul," she explained, laying out detailed proposals that would preserve core handcrafting elements while incorporating select automated processes. "Think of it as enhancing your expertise rather than replacing it." The corporate perspective, presented through careful market analysis and efficiency studies, highlighted the pressing need for adaptation. Global competition, changing consumer preferences, and economic pressures created a compelling case for modernization. Yet these rational arguments seemed to bounce off Isaac's well-founded conviction like rain off a well-oiled surface. Isaac's resistance stemmed not from simple stubbornness, but from a deep-seated belief in the value of traditional craftsmanship. His concerns extended beyond mere technique to questions of quality, durability, and the very essence of what it meant to create something by hand. Would the introduction of automated processes diminish the soul of each piece? Could machines truly replicate the subtle variations that gave handcrafted items their unique character? The workshop's younger artisans found themselves caught between respecting their mentor's position and recognizing the potential benefits of technological integration. Some began to quietly experiment with newer tools during their off hours, sensing the winds of change while trying to maintain their traditional training's integrity. This generational divide added another layer of complexity to the situation. The younger craftsman's curiosity about modern methods created an undercurrent of tension within the workshop's usually harmonious atmosphere. Could there be a middle ground that satisfied both the wisdom of experience and the promise of innovation? The Bay corporate team's patience began to wear thin as deadlines loomed and production targets remained unmet. Their initial diplomatic approach gave way to more direct pressure, though they maintained a professional facade. The implicit threat of outsourcing or downsizing hung in the air, unspoken but palpable. Isaac's position, while principled, carried significant implications for the workshop's future. His refusal to adapt threatened not only his own role but the livelihoods of those who worked alongside him. The weight of this responsibility pressed heavily upon him, though he showed no outward sign of wavering. The situation reached a critical point when several major clients began expressing interest in competitors who offered faster turnaround times and lower prices. These market pressures forced everyone in the workshop to confront an uncomfortable question. Could traditional craftsmanship survive in its pure form in the modern marketplace? As tensions mounted, the workshop became a microcosm of a larger, cultural struggle between tradition and progress. Isaac's stance represented more than personal preference. It embodied a philosophy of creation that valued quality over quantity, process over product, and human touch over mechanical precision. Yet the economic realities of the modern world demanded adaptation and evolution. The impasse between Isaac and the corporate team highlighted a fundamental question about the future of craftsmanship. Could traditional methods and modern technology find a harmonious balance, or were they inherently incompatible? The answer to this question would determine not just the workshop's fate, but potentially the future of artisanal craftsmanship itself. The tension between traditional craftsmanship and technological innovation reached its breaking point in the wake of Isaac's refusal to adopt the new manufacturing methods. Elon, recognizing the deep-seated resistance to change, proposed a solution that would put both approaches to the test. Rather than forcing an immediate transition, he suggested a direct comparison between the old and new methods through a carefully designed challenge. Telling and preparing this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The parameters of the challenge were straightforward yet comprehensive. Two teams would manufacture identical components, one using traditional methods under Isaac's leadership, and the other employing the new automated processes under Elon's supervision. The test would measure not only production speed and cost efficiency, but also quality, precision, and durability of the final products. What would happen when centuries of handed-down expertise faced off against cutting-edge technology? This proposition sparked intense discussions throughout the factory floor. Workers found themselves divided, with some backing Isaac's proven techniques while others saw the potential in Elon's modern approach. The challenge represented more than a simple competition. It embodied the broader struggle between preserving cultural heritage and embracing technological progress. Could there be a middle ground where both methodologies could coexist? The stakes were considerable for both parties. Isaac's reputation as a master craftsman hung in the balance, along with the traditional techniques he had spent decades perfecting. For Elon, the challenge offered an opportunity to demonstrate the validity of his vision for the future of manufacturing. The outcome would likely influence not only their facility, but potentially set a precedent for similar industries facing the same technological crossroads. Preparations began immediately, with both teams allocated equal resources and workspace. The project specifications called for the production of 50 specialized mechanical components, each requiring precise tolerances and complex geometrical features. These parts would later undergo rigorous testing by an independent quality control team, ensuring unbiased evaluation of the results. The timeline was set at 1 week, providing enough scope to showcase the strengths and weaknesses of each approach. This duration would allow for meaningful data collection while maintaining practical relevance to real-world production scenarios. How would the pressure of time affect the performance of both traditional craftsmanship and automated processes? As news of the challenge spread throughout the industry, other manufacturers began showing interest in the outcome. The results could potentially influence their own decisions regarding modernization and technological adoption. What began as an internal dispute evolved into a closely watched experiment that could shape the future direction of manufacturing methodology. The challenge also raised important questions about the role of human expertise in an increasingly automated world. Would the test reveal unexpected advantages to traditional methods that machines couldn't replicate? Or would it demonstrate that technological efficiency could achieve levels of precision beyond human capability? These questions resonated beyond the factory walls, touching on broader concerns about the future of work and skill preservation. Support teams formed organically around both leaders, with workers gravitating toward their preferred methodology. This self-selection process created an interesting dynamic as it revealed the underlying preferences and beliefs of the workforce. Young apprentices, surprisingly, didn't uniformly side with the new technology, while some veteran craftsmen expressed curiosity about the automated systems. The atmosphere in the factory transformed as the start date approached. The usual routine gave way to focused preparation as both teams refined their processes and strategies. Equipment was maintained, tools were sharpened, and programming was optimized. The impending challenge created an unexpected benefit. Both approaches were being pushed to their absolute limits in pursuit of excellence. Environmental and sustainability considerations also entered the discussion. Traditional methods, while potentially slower, often produced less waste and consumed less energy. The automated processes offered precision and consistency, but required significant power input. How would these factors influence the final evaluation of both approaches? Documentation protocols were established to record every aspect of the competition, from material usage to energy consumption, from production time to quality metrics. This comprehensive data collection would provide valuable insights regardless of the outcome, contributing to the broader understanding of manufacturing methodologies in the modern era. As the challenge drew near, the initial antagonism between the two camps began to shift toward a more nuanced appreciation of each other's perspectives. The detailed planning and preparation revealed that both approaches had their merits and limitations. Could this understanding lead to a more balanced integration of old and new techniques? The stage was set for a contest that would test not just manufacturing methods, but also long-held assumptions about progress, tradition, and the future of craftsmanship. What unexpected lessons would emerge from this unique experiment in industrial innovation? The transition from theoretical knowledge to practical application often reveals unexpected challenges, as Elon Musk discovered during his first attempt at traditional blacksmithing. Despite his considerable technological expertise and confidence in modern manufacturing methods, the ancient art of metalworking proved to be far more complex than he had anticipated. The morning began with Elon approaching the forge with his characteristic self-assurance, having spent the previous evening studying metallurgical principles and watching instructional videos. He had calculated the optimal temperatures, memorized the basic techniques, and believed his analytical mind would give him an advantage. How different could it be from the automated processes he had pioneered at Tesla and SpaceX? The master blacksmith, Jorge Martinez, watched silently as Elon struggled to maintain the proper coal fire temperature in the forge. The basic task of managing the heat source, something that would be precisely controlled by computers in a modern facility, required constant attention and adjustment. The coal needed to be added in specific amounts, at specific times, while maintaining proper airflow through the forge. Each variable influenced the others in ways that no amount of theoretical knowledge could fully prepare one for. When it came time to handle the heated metal, Elon's difficulties multiplied. The hammer, which had seemed so simple in principle, became an unwieldy instrument in his inexperienced hands. The metal cooled faster than he expected, requiring multiple reheating cycles for even basic shaping attempts. His strikes lacked the rhythm and precision necessary for effective metalworking, either hitting too hard and deforming the piece or too softly and failing to make any meaningful impact. The simple task of creating a basic hook, typically one of the first projects for novice blacksmiths, became an exercise in frustration. The metal warped in unexpected ways, refusing to take the intended shape despite Elon's increasingly determined efforts. What should have been a curved, functional piece instead resembled a twisted, irregular mass of steel that bore little resemblance to its intended form. Throughout the process, Jorge remained deliberately hands-off, allowing Elon to experience the full weight of the challenge. This approach, while potentially frustrating for the student, served an essential purpose in demonstrating the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical skill. Could centuries of accumulated craftsmanship be so easily replicated by modern technology? The physical demands of the work also took their toll. The constant movement between the forge and anvil, the repetitive striking motions and the heat of the fire created a level of physical exertion that Elon hadn't expected. The protective gear, necessary for safety but cumbersome in the hot environment, added another layer of difficulty to every movement. As the morning progressed, Elon's initial confidence gave way to a growing appreciation for the complexity of traditional metalworking. Each failed attempt revealed new aspects of the craft that he hadn't considered. The importance of reading the metal's color to gauge temperature, the subtle variations in hammer technique required for different types of shaping, and the critical role of timing in every aspect of the process. The experience challenged not only Elon's assumptions about the superiority of modern methods, but also his understanding of skill acquisition itself. How many other traditional crafts contain depths of knowledge that couldn't be easily replicated or automated? What other insights might be lost in the rush to modernize and digitize everything? Jorge's teaching method, focused on allowing failure as a path to understanding, proved effective in ways that verbal instruction alone could not have achieved. The physical experience of failure, the frustration of repeated attempts, and the gradual recognition of the craft's complexity created a deeper level of respect for the traditional methods than any theoretical discussion could have inspired. By the end of the session, Elon's perspective had shifted significantly. The failed attempts at creating even a simple piece had demonstrated the vast difference between understanding a process intellectually and mastering it practically. What other aspects of manufacturing and innovation might benefit from a deeper appreciation of traditional craftsmanship? The day's experience raised important questions about the relationship between modern technology and traditional skills. Could the best path forward lie not in choosing between old and new methods, but in finding ways to preserve and integrate the wisdom of traditional crafts with the capabilities of modern technology? What lessons from the blacksmith's forge might be applicable to the factories of the future? The aftermath of Elon's failed blacksmithing attempt created an opportunity for a profound lesson that extended far beyond the mere shaping of metal. As the smoke cleared from his disastrous first try, Isaac approached the workbench where Elon sat, his shoulders slumped in disappointment. What could transform this moment of failure into something meaningful? Isaac began by explaining that true craftsmanship requires more than just technical skill or raw determination. The ancient art of blacksmithing, passed down through generations, carries within it fundamental principles that apply to all forms of creation and innovation. These principles, he explained, were often overlooked by those eager to achieve quick results. The first principle Isaac shared was the concept of material understanding. Every piece of metal possesses its own unique properties, temperament, and limitations. Just as one cannot force a river to flow uphill, a craftsman cannot impose their will upon materials without first comprehending their nature. This wisdom extended beyond the forge. Whether working with metal, wood, or even complex modern technologies, success depends on respecting the inherent characteristics of one's materials. Isaac's teachings then moved to the importance of timing and patience. The perfect strike of a hammer requires not just strength but precise timing. too early or too late, and the metal either refuses to yield or becomes damaged beyond repair. How many innovations had failed simply because their creators rushed forward without understanding the proper moment to act? The conversation shifted to the role of heat in transformation. Heat, Isaac explained, serves as more than just a tool. It represents the catalyst for change in any system. But heat must be carefully controlled and understood. Too much destroys, too little fails to affect change, and the right amount applied at the wrong time yields unpredictable results. What parallels could be drawn between this principle and the way new ideas and changes are introduced into the world? Isaac revealed how the forge itself serves as a metaphor for the transformation of not just materials, but ideas and individuals. The intense heat breaks down existing structures, allowing for reorganization into new and stronger forms. Yet this process cannot be rushed or forced. Each stage, heating, shaping, cooling, plays a vital role in creating something that will endure. The concept of harmony between tools and craftsmen emerged as another crucial lesson. Isaac demonstrated how the hammer becomes an extension of the smith's arm, the tongs an extension of their grip. This unity between human and tool transcends mere mechanical operation. It represents a deeper understanding of how technology should serve as an extension of human capability, rather than a replacement for human wisdom. Through these insights, Isaac illuminated how traditional crafts contain hidden repositories of knowledge that remain relevant in an age of advanced technology. The principles of patience, material understanding, timing, and transformation apply whether one works with ancient iron or cutting-edge innovations. But how can these timeless lessons be integrated into modern progress? The discussion turned to the relationship between tradition and innovation. Isaac explained that while new technologies and methods constantly emerge, the fundamental principles of craftsmanship remain unchanged. True innovation, he suggested, comes not from dismissing traditional knowledge but from building upon it with new understanding and capabilities. Isaac's teachings revealed how craftsmanship encompasses more than technical skill. It requires a holistic understanding of materials, processes, and principles. This knowledge, accumulated over centuries of human experience, offers insights that no amount of raw power or advanced technology can replace. What other ancient wisdom might hold solutions to modern challenges? The conversation concluded with a reflection on the nature of mastery itself. True mastery, Isaac explained, comes not from dominating one's materials or tools, but from achieving harmony with them. This principle extends beyond craftsmanship to all forms of human endeavor, whether building businesses, developing technologies, or solving global challenges. Through these revelations, the failed blacksmithing attempt transformed from a simple technical lesson into an exploration of deeper principles that connect traditional wisdom with modern innovation. What other insights might be waiting to be discovered in the practices and traditions of the past? How might these principles guide the development of future technologies and solutions? The delicate balance between tradition and progress often requires careful negotiation, and nowhere was this more evident than in the tense discussion between Isaac and Robert. After days of philosophical exchanges and heated debates about the future of craftsmanship, both men found themselves at a crucial crossroads that would determine the fate of their collaborative endeavor. Robert's innovative vision for modernizing production methods stood in stark contrast to Isaac's unwavering commitment to traditional craftsmanship. Yet, as they delved deeper into their respective positions, subtle areas of potential agreement began to emerge. The question that lingered between them was whether these small points of convergence could form the foundation for a broader understanding. Isaac, drawing from his decades of experience, acknowledged that certain aspects of modern production could enhance rather than diminish the quality of craftsmanship. He recognized that tools and techniques had always evolved throughout history, and categorical rejection of all new methods would be contrary to the very spirit of innovation that had shaped traditional craftsmanship over centuries. This admission marked a significant shift in his previously rigid stance. Robert, in turn, demonstrated a growing appreciation for the irreplaceable elements of handcrafted work. Through his conversations with Isaac, he had come to understand that certain aspects of traditional methods contained wisdom that machines could not replicate. The human touch, the subtle variations, and the deep understanding of materials that came from years of hands-on experience were values worth preserving. The breakthrough came when both men realized they shared a fundamental goal: the creation of exceptional products that would stand the test of time. This common ground became the cornerstone of their compromise. They began to explore ways to integrate modern efficiency without sacrificing the essential elements of craftsmanship that made their work unique. Their agreement took shape around a hybrid approach. Certain processes, particularly those involving precise measurements and repetitive tasks, could be enhanced through modern technology. However, the crucial stages that required artistic judgment, material sensitivity, and fine adjustments would remain firmly in the realm of traditional handcrafting. This selective modernization would allow them to maintain quality while improving production capacity. The compromise extended beyond mere production methods. They established guidelines for training new craftsmen, incorporating both traditional apprenticeship elements and modern educational techniques. This approach would ensure the preservation of vital skills while preparing the next generation for an evolving marketplace. How could they balance the time-tested methods of knowledge transfer with the need for faster skill acquisition? Financial considerations played a crucial role in their negotiations. Robert's business acumen highlighted the necessity of maintaining competitive pricing without compromising quality. Isaac's expertise helped identify areas where traditional methods actually proved more cost-effective in the long run, particularly in terms of durability and customer satisfaction. Together, they developed a pricing structure that reflected both the value of craftsmanship and market realities. The agreement also addressed the workshop's physical layout. Rather than completely modernizing the space, they decided to create distinct zones for different types of work. Traditional handcrafting areas would remain largely unchanged, while a new section would house modern equipment for appropriate tasks. This physical separation helped preserve the workshop's traditional character while accommodating necessary technological additions. Quality control became a central focus of their compromise. They established rigorous standards that combined traditional assessment methods with modern measurement techniques. This dual approach would ensure consistency while maintaining the high standards that had always characterized Isaac's work. What metrics could they use to evaluate success in this new hybrid system? The implementation timeline they agreed upon reflected a measured approach to change. Rather than rushing to modernize everything at once, they planned a gradual integration of new methods. This careful pacing would allow for proper training and adjustment, ensuring that quality remained consistent throughout the transition. Communication emerged as a vital component of their agreement. Regular meetings would be held to assess progress and address any concerns that arose during the BAM implementation phase. This ongoing dialogue would help maintain the delicate balance they had struck between tradition and innovation. The compromise they reached represented more than just a practical solution to their differences. It demonstrated how seemingly opposing viewpoints could find common ground through mutual respect and a shared commitment to excellence. Their agreement would serve as a model for how traditional craftsmanship could adapt to modern demands without losing its essential character. As they finalized the details of their agreement, both men recognized that this compromise was not an endpoint, but the beginning of a new chapter. The real test would lie in its implementation and the results it would produce. Would their carefully crafted balance between old and new stand up to the pressures of practical application? The delicate balance achieved through compromise opened new channels of understanding between the opposing parties, leading to an unexpected period of cultural discovery. What began as a tense negotiation evolved into a genuine exchange of ideas, traditions, and perspectives that would reshape both communities' worldviews. The initial steps toward cultural exchange emerged organically, starting with shared meals that became informal forums for discussion. Traditional dishes served as conversation starters, with each side explaining the significance of ingredients and preparation methods that had been passed down through generations. These culinary interactions revealed deeper connections to land, family structures, and community values that both parties had previously overlooked in their conflict. Language became another bridge between the communities. The exchange of common phrases and expressions led to deeper discussions about the nuances of communication in each culture. Through these linguistic explorations, both groups discovered that certain concepts they had struggled to express in one language found perfect articulation in the other, highlighting the complementary nature of their worldviews. The exchange extended into traditional practices and ceremonies, where both sides found surprising parallels in their approaches to marking life's significant moments. Birth celebrations, coming-of-age rituals, and harvest festivals revealed shared human experiences that transcended cultural boundaries. How had these similarities remained hidden for so long beneath layers of misunderstanding and prejudice? Educational systems became a focal point of mutual interest. Each community's methods of passing knowledge to younger generations offered valuable insights. The emphasis on oral history and practical skills in one tradition complemented the structured academic approach of the other. This realization led to discussions about implementing hybrid learning models that could benefit both communities' children. Art forms provided another avenue for cultural connection. Traditional music, dance, and visual arts became means of expressing shared emotions and experiences that words alone could not convey. Joint artistic projects emerged spontaneously, creating new forms that borrowed elements from both cultures while maintaining their distinct characteristics. The exchange of medical knowledge proved particularly valuable. Traditional healing practices, developed over centuries of observation and experience, found validation in modern scientific understanding. Simultaneously, contemporary medical techniques gained greater acceptance when presented within familiar cultural frameworks. This medical synthesis demonstrated how traditional and modern approaches could complement, rather than compete with each other. Economic practices underwent scrutiny and adaptation, as both sides recognized the advantages of different approaches to commerce and resource management. Traditional bartering systems revealed efficient ways of distributing goods within communities, while modern market mechanisms offered solutions for larger-scale trade. Could these systems be integrated to create more resilient economic structures? Environmental stewardship emerged as a common value, though approached from different angles. Traditional ecological knowledge, built on generations of observation and interaction with the natural world, aligned with scientific environmental studies. This convergence led to collaborative efforts in conservation and sustainable resource management, demonstrating how different knowledge systems could work together toward common goals. The role of elders and community leaders evolved. During this period of exchange, traditional authority structures began incorporating new elements of governance, while modern administrative systems adapted to include traditional decision-making processes. This hybrid approach to leadership demonstrated the possibility of maintaining cultural integrity while adapting to changing circumstances. Technology became an unexpected facilitator of cultural preservation and exchange. Digital tools provided new ways to record and share traditional knowledge, ensuring its transmission to future generations. Social media platforms created spaces for ongoing dialogue between communities, while online archives preserved cultural artifacts and practices for future study and appreciation. As the exchange deepened, both sides began questioning their previous assumptions about progress and tradition. What if advancement didn't require abandoning the past? Could modern development incorporate traditional wisdom while traditional practices adapt to contemporary challenges? These questions led to innovative solutions that drew from both worldviews. The impact of this cultural exchange extended beyond the immediate communities involved. Other groups observing the process began initiating their own dialogue, recognizing that diversity could strengthen rather than divide societies. The success of this exchange challenged the notion that cultural differences inevitably lead to conflict, suggesting instead that they could serve as catalysts for mutual growth and understanding. Through this period of exchange, both communities discovered that their initial compromise had evolved into something far more valuable, a model for cultural cooperation that preserved distinct identities while fostering mutual respect and understanding. What began as a necessary negotiation had transformed into a voluntary exploration of shared humanity and complementary wisdom. The intersection of tradition and modernity often creates complex emotional landscapes, and for Rebecca, this junction became increasingly difficult to navigate. Her exposure to the English world through Sarah's friendship had planted seeds of curiosity that grew stronger with each passing day. What began as simple observations about different lifestyles evolved into deeper questions about personal identity and individual choice. Rebecca's internal conflict manifested in subtle ways initially. She found herself lingering longer at the windows of English shops during her necessary trips to town, studying the colorful displays of modern conveniences with a mixture of fascination and guilt. The sight of young English women in their contemporary clothing and uninhibited manner of speaking sparked questions about the boundaries of her own existence. What defined these limitations, and were they truly essential to maintaining her faith and community? The technological aspects of modern life particularly intrigued Rebecca. During her visits to Sarah's home, she noticed how efficiently household tasks could be completed with modern appliances. The contrast between hand-washing clothes for hours versus using a washing machine became a powerful metaphor for the broader differences between her world and the English one. These observations led to more profound contemplations about the relationship between technological progress and spiritual preservation. Could one embrace certain aspects of modernity while maintaining the core values of their faith? Her growing awareness of educational opportunities available to English women created another layer of internal tension. Rebecca's natural intelligence and curiosity had always been evident in her skillful management of household affairs and her quick grasp of new concepts. However, the discovery of formal educational paths and career possibilities for women introduced questions about the potential she might never explore. What other talents lay dormant within her, bound by the constraints of tradition? The emotional complexity of Rebecca's situation deepened as she recognized the ripple effects of her thoughts on her family relationships. Her father's pride in her adherence to tradition and her mother's quiet satisfaction in her daughters' proper Amish upbringing became sources of both comfort and constraint. The weight of their expectations and the genuine love behind them made her questioning feel like a form of betrayal. How could she reconcile her growing interest in the outside world with her deep-seated desire to honor her family and community? Her friendship with Sarah added another dimension to this internal struggle. Through their conversations and shared experiences, Rebecca gained insights into a different way of life that challenged her preconceptions. The English world, which had once seemed uniformly threatening to their way of life, revealed itself to be more nuanced. She discovered that modern society, despite its apparent chaos, contained its own forms of order, meaning, and spiritual seeking. This understanding made it increasingly difficult to maintain the rigid boundaries between us and them that her community had established. The practical aspects of daily life began to feel more complicated as Rebecca's awareness expanded. Simple decisions about clothing, transportation, or social interactions carried new weight as she considered their broader implications. Each choice seemed to require a conscious evaluation of its alignment with her faith and community values. The mental energy required to maintain these constant assessments created its own form of exhaustion. When did preservation of tradition become a barrier to personal growth? Rebecca's dilemma extended beyond personal choices to questions about the future of her community. She observed younger members of her settlement struggling with similar questions, though few spoke of them openly. The increasing interaction between Amish and English communities made complete isolation impossible, raising questions about sustainable adaptation. How could their way of life evolve without losing its essential character? The physical manifestations of her internal conflict became more apparent in her daily routines. Rebecca found herself spending more time in solitary reflection, often seeking quiet moments in the garden or during her evening walks. These periods of contemplation provided temporary relief but no lasting solutions to her growing uncertainty. The simple act of watching English vehicles pass on the road near their farm became charged with symbolic meaning, each one representing a path not taken. Her struggle highlighted a fundamental question facing many young Amish individuals: how to maintain authentic faith and community connections in a world of expanding possibilities. The traditional practice of rumspringa offered young people a chance to experience the English world before choosing baptism. But Rebecca's questions went deeper than mere curiosity about modern conveniences. She grappled with fundamental questions about individual autonomy, gender roles, and the nature of spiritual authenticity in the modern age. The absence of clear answers to these questions created its own form of tension. Rebecca's upbringing had provided clear guidelines for most life situations, but her current dilemma existed in a gray area where traditional wisdom offered little direct guidance. How could she honor both her heritage and her growing awareness of alternative possibilities? The resolution to this question would shape not only her personal future, but potentially influence the ongoing dialogue between tradition and modernity within her community. The rhythmic clang of hammer-striking metal echoed through the small workshop as Elon positioned himself before the glowing forge. Having spent his career in the sterile environments of tech startups and corporate offices, the raw physicality of traditional blacksmithing presented an entirely new challenge. How would his modern sensibilities adapt to this ancient craft? The heat from the forge pressed against his face as Master Heinrich, the village blacksmith, demonstrated the proper technique for heating iron to the precise temperature needed for shaping. The color of the metal, Heinrich explained, revealed its readiness from cherry red to orange to yellow-white, each shade representing different levels of malleability. This intuitive knowledge, passed down through generations, stood in stark contrast to the digital precision Elon was accustomed to. The physical demands quickly became apparent as Elon attempted his first basic forging exercise. His muscles, unused to the repetitive motion of hammering, began to protest within minutes. The hammer, which had seemed manageable at first, grew increasingly heavy as he struggled to maintain consistent strikes against the glowing metal. What had appeared straightforward, in theory, proved far more complex in execution. Master Heinrich's watchful eye caught every mistake, every misplaced strike. The older man's calloused hands occasionally guided Elon's movements, adjusting his grip or stance with the patience of someone who had taught countless apprentices before. The fundamental principles of blacksmithing, Heinrich emphasized, remained unchanged since medieval times, a fact that both fascinated and frustrated Elon. The workshop itself represented a stark departure from modern manufacturing facilities. Instead of computer-controlled machinery and automated processes, simple tools lined the walls: tongs of various sizes, hammers, chisels, and files, each with its specific purpose. The absence of technology forced Elon to rely solely on his physical senses and developing skill. As the hours progressed, Elon's initial enthusiasm gave way to a deeper appreciation for the craft's complexity. The coordination required between hands, eyes, and body demanded complete concentration. One moment of distraction could result in a misshapen piece or, worse, injury. The forge's heat remained constant, an ever-present reminder of the elemental nature of the work. The village's need for practical items kept the forge busy. Heinrich's workshop produced everything from horseshoes to cooking utensils, agricultural tools to decorative pieces. Each item required different techniques, temperatures, and finishing methods. The variety of work highlighted the versatility demanded of a traditional blacksmith, a far cry from the specialized roles common in modern industry. Blisters formed on Elon's hands despite the protective gloves, marking his initiation into the physical reality of craftwork. The soreness in his shoulders and arms spoke of muscles unused to such sustained effort. Yet with each passing hour, his movements became more natural, his strikes more precise. Could this ancient craft offer insights into the future he sought to build? The relationship between craftsmen and materials revealed itself as fundamentally different from modern manufacturing, where contemporary processes aim to dominate and reshape materials according to precise specifications. Traditional blacksmithing required a partnership with the metal, an understanding of its properties and limitations. This philosophy challenged Elon's assumptions about progress and efficiency. The day's work produced mixed results, several misshapen attempts at basic forms alongside one or two passable pieces. Master Heinrich's assessment remained diplomatic, but clear. Mastery would require time, patience, and dedication. The immediacy of feedback in blacksmithing, each strike's effect visible in the cooling metal, provided a directness absent in much of modern work. As evening approached, Elon's exhaustion competed with a growing sense of accomplishment. The physical demands had tested his endurance, while the technical challenges had engaged his mind in unexpected ways. The forge's ancient methods posed questions about the nature of progress and the value of traditional knowledge in an increasingly automated world. The experience left Elon contemplating the balance between innovation and tradition. How could the wisdom embedded in ancient crafts inform modern technological development? What lessons might be lost in the rush toward automation and digital solutions? The forge had offered more than just physical challenges. It had presented a different way of thinking about human work and creativity. The ambitious timeline for the Mars Colonial Transport project began to show its first significant cracks during the late summer months of 2016. What had started as minor setbacks in material testing and prototype development gradually evolved into more serious concerns that threatened to derail the entire initiative's carefully planned schedule. At the heart of these mounting pressures lay the complex challenge of developing a completely new type of metallic alloy capable of withstanding both the extreme cold of space and the intense heat of atmospheric re-entry. The engineering team had already gone through 17 different iterations, each promising in theory but failing to deliver the required performance metrics in real-world testing conditions. How could they balance the competing demands of structural integrity and weight restrictions while maintaining cost-effectiveness? The financial strain began to manifest in unexpected ways throughout SpaceX's operations. Several key suppliers, struggling with the demanding specifications and tight delivery schedules, started requesting contract modifications and price adjustments. These requests created a ripple effect across the supply chain, forcing project managers to constantly revise their budgets and timelines. The original cost projections, which had seemed conservative at the project's outset, now appeared increasingly optimistic. Internal tensions within the development teams reached unprecedented levels. The pressure to maintain progress while adhering to exacting safety standards created an environment where even minor disagreements quickly escalated into heated debates. Engineers who had previously worked together seamlessly now found themselves at odds over technical approaches and resource allocation. What had happened to the collaborative spirit that had defined the project's early days? The situation came to a head during a crucial design review meeting, where 3 separate technical teams presented conflicting solutions to the heat shield configuration. Each approach had its merits, but none fully satisfied all the necessary criteria. The resulting deadlock threatened to delay the entire development process by several months. Who would make the final call? And what would be the consequences of choosing one approach over the others? Adding to these challenges, public scrutiny of the project intensified as speculation about potential delays began circulating in industry publications. Competitors seized upon these rumors, using them to question SpaceX's capability to deliver on its ambitious promises. How could the company maintain stakeholder confidence while honestly addressing the technical challenges they faced? The stress began taking its toll on the workforce. Extended working hours, coupled with the constant pressure to solve seemingly insurmountable technical problems, led to increased burnout among key team members. Several experienced engineers requested transfers to other projects, while others took extended leaves of absence. The Human Resource Department struggled to maintain adequate staffing levels, while ensuring that critical institutional knowledge wasn't lost in the process. Environmental testing revealed additional complications that nobody had anticipated. The material behavior under simulated Mars atmospheric conditions showed anomalies that couldn't be explained by existing models. The research team had to develop new testing protocols and analytical frameworks, further straining the project's resources and timeline. When would they finally achieve a breakthrough in understanding these unexpected material properties? The financial markets began to react to news of the project's challenges. SpaceX's private valuation faced increased scrutiny from investors, who questioned whether the company could maintain its aggressive development schedule while managing costs effectively. The pressure to demonstrate concrete progress mounted with each passing week, as potential funding partners grew increasingly cautious about committing additional resources. Communication challenges between different departments exacerbated the technical issues. The software team's requirements often conflicted with hardware limitations, while manufacturing constraints forced compromises in design specifications. The resulting back and forth between teams created delays that nobody could afford. How could they streamline their communication processes without sacrificing the thorough analysis needed for such a critical project? The Quality Control Department identified several concerning trends in component reliability testing. While none of the issues individually posed a critical threat to the project, their cumulative effect suggested that the current design approach might need substantial revision. The prospect of such a major overhaul at this stage in development raised serious questions about the project's viability within its original scope and timeline. Despite these mounting challenges, the core team remained committed to the project's ultimate goals. They understood that pushing the boundaries of human capability in space exploration would inevitably encounter significant obstacles. The question wasn't whether they could overcome these challenges, but rather how to adapt their approach while maintaining progress toward their ambitious objectives. What lessons could they learn from these setbacks to strengthen their development process moving forward? The complex dynamics between Elon Musk and Isaac Thompson reached a critical juncture following weeks of mounting pressure and conflicting perspectives on the Mars colonization project. What started as a professional disagreement had evolved into something more profound, forcing both men to confront their underlying motivations and assumptions about one another. The catalyst for change emerged during a late-night review session at SpaceX headquarters. While examining the latest simulation data for the Mars landing sequence, Isaac identified a crucial flaw in the atmospheric entry calculations that had eluded the entire team. Rather than immediately presenting his findings to the group, he approached Elon directly, demonstrating a level of professional courtesy that marked a significant shift in their interaction pattern. Elon's response proved equally surprising. Instead of his characteristic rapid-fire questioning or immediate dismissal, he listened intently as Isaac methodically explained the implications of the mathematical discrepancy. The technical nature of their discussion gradually gave way to a deeper exchange about their shared vision for humanity's future in space. What made this particular conversation different from their previous interactions? The answer lay in their mutual recognition of each other's fundamental driving forces. Isaac began to understand that Elon's seemingly impossible deadlines and ambitious goals weren't merely publicity stunts or arbitrary challenges, but rather calculated pressure points designed to push innovation beyond conventional boundaries. Similarly, Elon gained appreciation for Isaac's methodical approach, recognizing that his caution stemmed not from resistance to change, but from a deep-seated commitment to mission success. Their discussion extended beyond the immediate technical challenges, touching upon their personal journeys in the aerospace industry. Isaac shared his experiences working on previous space programs, including the setbacks and lessons learned that had shaped his conservative approach to engineering. Elon, in turn, opened up about the early days of SpaceX and the numerous failures that had nearly bankrupted the company, but ultimately led to breakthrough innovations. The conversation revealed surprising parallels in their backgrounds. Both men had faced significant opposition and skepticism throughout their careers, though they had developed different strategies for overcoming these challenges. While Elon had chosen to challenge conventional wisdom head-on, Isaac had worked within existing systems to effect change gradually. These contrasting approaches, they realized, could complement rather than conflict with each other. Their newfound understanding manifested in practical changes to the project's structure. Elon began incorporating longer testing phases into the development timeline, acknowledging the value of Isaac's emphasis on thorough validation. Conversely, Isaac started exploring more innovative approaches to problem-solving, inspired by Elon's willingness to challenge traditional aerospace methodologies. The impact of their reconciliation rippled through the entire team. Engineers who had previously felt caught between competing philosophies now found themselves working in an environment that balanced innovation with methodical verification. How would this new dynamic influence the project's trajectory? The transformation in their relationship also highlighted a broader truth about leadership in ambitious technological projects. The most effective solutions often emerge from the synthesis of different perspectives rather than the dominance of a single approach. Their ability to bridge their differences demonstrated that successful innovation requires both visionary thinking and careful execution. This breakthrough in understanding came at a crucial moment for the Mars project. With numerous technical challenges still ahead, the improved collaboration between Elon and Isaac positioned the team to tackle these obstacles more effectively. Their combined approach began yielding results in unexpected ways, as team members felt more comfortable proposing solutions that incorporated elements of both rapid innovation and thorough validation. The evolution of their relationship raised important questions about the nature of leadership in pioneering technological ventures. How could organizations better foster environments where different leadership styles and approaches could coexist productively? What role did personal growth and self-awareness play in overcoming professional conflicts? As the project moved forward, the impact of this understanding between Elon and Isaac continued to influence decision-making processes and team dynamics. Their ability to find common ground while maintaining their distinct strengths demonstrated that effective leadership often requires the humility to learn from different perspectives and the wisdom to integrate diverse approaches. The breakthrough in their relationship marked not just a personal triumph, but a significant milestone for the entire Mars colonization project. It established a new paradigm for how innovative ventures could balance the need for rapid progress with the requirements of thorough validation and safety considerations. What other insights would emerge from this newly forged partnership, and how would they shape the future of space exploration? The culmination of weeks of meticulous engineering and precise craftsmanship arrived as the handcrafted component stood ready for its critical evaluation. The testing phase represented more than just a technical assessment. It embodied the practical manifestation of Elon and Isaac's collaborative breakthrough. The testing facility hummed with anticipation as specialized equipment was calibrated to measure every conceivable parameter. Multiple sensors were strategically positioned to capture data points ranging from structural integrity to thermal resistance. The component, a product of both traditional craftsmanship and cutting-edge design principles, would face a battery of tests that would push it to its theoretical limits and beyond. Initial diagnostics focused on basic functionality, ensuring the component met its primary operational requirements. Data streams began flowing into monitoring systems, creating complex patterns of information that would require careful analysis. The engineering team maintained strict protocols, documenting every observation and measurement with scientific precision. As the testing progressed through various stages, the component demonstrated unexpected characteristics. Some of these properties exceeded the original design specifications, while others revealed areas that required further refinement. Each deviation from predicted behavior provided valuable insights into the interaction between traditional manufacturing methods and modern engineering principles. The stress tests proved particularly revealing. Under increasing pressure and load conditions, the component exhibited resilience patterns that differed from computer-generated models. These variations sparked intense discussions among the technical team about the potential advantages of handcrafted elements in specific applications. Could this represent a new paradigm in manufacturing methodology? Temperature variation tests followed, subjecting the component to extreme thermal conditions. The material composition, influenced by Isaac's traditional techniques, responded differently than standard machine-fabricated parts. The data suggested superior heat distribution characteristics, though the reasons behind this performance remained unclear. The engineering team began documenting these anomalies for further investigation. Durability testing introduced another dimension of analysis. Repeated cycle testing aimed to simulate years of operational wear in compressed timeframes. The component's performance during these accelerated aging tests provided crucial data about its long-term reliability and maintenance requirements. How would these results influence future design iterations? The vibration analysis phase revealed particularly interesting results. The component's natural frequency response demonstrated unique dampening characteristics, possibly attributable to subtle variations in its internal structure, a direct result of the handcrafting process. This discovery prompted additional specialized tests to explore these properties in greater detail. Throughout the testing process, Elon maintained regular communication with Isaac, sharing both promising results and concerning findings. Their discussions evolved beyond simple technical exchanges, incorporating deeper considerations about the integration of traditional craftsmanship with modern manufacturing processes. Each test result added new dimensions to their ongoing dialogue about the future of production methodology. Quality assurance protocols demanded multiple verification runs for each test category. This redundancy generated massive amounts of data, requiring sophisticated analysis tools to identify patterns and correlations. The engineering team worked diligently to interpret these results, often discovering subtle relationships between different performance parameters. As the testing phase progressed, it became increasingly clear that the component represented more than just a functional part. It embodied a potential bridge between two distinct approaches to manufacturing. The data suggested that certain aspects of traditional craftsmanship could enhance the performance of modern designs in ways that pure machine production couldn't replicate. What implications might this have for future manufacturing processes? The final stages of testing focused on edge cases and extreme conditions, pushing the component beyond its intended operational parameters. These stress tests provided crucial information about failure modes and safety margins, essential data for any potential real-world application. The results would ultimately determine whether this hybrid approach to manufacturing could meet the stringent requirements of contemporary engineering standards. The completion of the testing phase marked a significant milestone in the project. The vast amount of collected data would require careful analysis to draw meaningful conclusions, but initial results suggested promising directions for further development. How would these findings influence the future of manufacturing? Could this represent the beginning of a new approach to production methodology that combines the best aspects of both traditional and modern techniques? The test results would serve as a foundation for future iterations and improvements, but perhaps more importantly, they validated the potential of bridging the gap between old-world craftsmanship and cutting-edge technology. What other possibilities might emerge from this unconventional collaboration between traditional expertise and modern engineering? The intersection of traditional craftsmanship and modern technology often creates unexpected outcomes. But what happens when deeply held beliefs about both collide with hard data? The test results from the handcrafted component presented a complex tableau that challenged the fundamental assumptions held by both the artisans and engineers. Initial data analysis revealed performance metrics that defied conventional wisdom. The handcrafted component, created through centuries-old techniques, demonstrated efficiency levels that matched and in some cases exceeded those of its machine-manufactured counterparts. This discovery sent ripples through the technical team, who had maintained skepticism about the viability of traditional methods in meeting modern precision requirements. The metallurgical analysis provided particularly intriguing insights. The microstructural characteristics of the hand-forged metal exhibited unique patterns that differed significantly from standardized industrial products. These variations, rather than introducing weaknesses as initially predicted, contributed to enhanced material properties. The irregular grain boundaries and distinctive crystalline structures resulted from the blacksmith's intuitive understanding of metal behavior under varying temperatures and pressures. Engineers found themselves grappling with data that contradicted their computer models. How could processes developed centuries ago without the benefit of advanced mathematics or material science produce results that rivaled modern manufacturing methods? The answer lay in the subtle variations introduced by human hands, variations that proved beneficial rather than detrimental to the component's performance. The traditional craftsmen, while vindicated in their defense of ancient techniques, faced their own paradigm shift. The scientific validation of their methods revealed aspects of their craft they hadn't fully understood. Generations of knowledge passed down through apprenticeships contained embedded wisdom that modern analysis could now explain and quantify. What role would this new understanding play in preserving and advancing traditional craftsmanship? Stress testing yielded particularly noteworthy results. The handcrafted component displayed superior resistance to fatigue and unexpected loading conditions. The irregularities in its structure, rather than being flaws, created natural stress distribution patterns that enhanced durability. This finding challenged the modern emphasis on absolute uniformity in manufacturing processes. The economic implications emerged as another surprising factor. While the initial production time for the handcrafted component exceeded that of machine manufacturing, the longer service life and reduced maintenance requirements suggested potential long-term cost benefits. Could this represent a new way of evaluating the efficiency of production methods beyond mere speed and uniformity? Documentation of the testing process itself became a point of discussion. Traditional craftsmen had relied on sensory feedback, the sound of hammer strikes, the color of heated metal, the feel of proper tempering. How could these subjective but crucial aspects be recorded and validated in a way that satisfied modern quality control requirements? The team began developing new protocols that incorporated both quantitative measurements and qualitative assessments. The results also raised questions about scalability and consistency. While the tested component performed exceptionally well, could these results be replicated consistently? The human element in traditional craftsmanship introduced variables that modern manufacturing specifically sought to eliminate. Yet these very variables appeared to contribute to the component's superior performance. Environmental impact assessments added another layer to the findings. The traditional manufacturing process, while more time-consuming, required significantly less energy input than modern methods. The carbon footprint analysis revealed potential sustainability advantages that hadn't been considered in the initial evaluation criteria. Knowledge transfer emerged as a critical consideration. The test results highlighted the importance of preserving traditional crafting knowledge. But how could this be accomplished in an age of digital documentation? The team began exploring ways to bridge the gap between experiential learning and modern educational methods. The implications extended beyond the immediate project. What other traditional techniques, dismissed as obsolete, might hold solutions to modern engineering challenges? How might the integration of ancient wisdom and contemporary science lead to innovations that neither approach could achieve alone? As the team compiled their findings, the boundaries between old and new, traditional and modern, began to blur. The data suggested that the path forward might not lie in choosing between approaches, but in understanding how they could complement and enhance each other. What other preconceptions about progress and innovation might need to be re-examined in light of these revelations? How does one reconcile years of scientific training with experiences that defy conventional explanation? This question plagued Jared Thompson as he reviewed the data from the recent trials, his engineering background clashing with the undeniable results before him. The empirical evidence demonstrated patterns that contradicted his initial hypotheses about traditional healing methods. The controlled studies, which he had helped design with rigorous scientific protocols, showed statistically significant improvements in patients who received traditional treatments. These outcomes forced Jared to confront his deeply held skepticism about non-Western medical approaches. What particularly caught his attention were the biomarkers indicating stress reduction and improved immune response in patients treated with traditional methods. The numbers couldn't be dismissed as placebo effects or statistical anomalies. The data revealed consistent improvements across multiple parameters, including heart rate variability, cortisol levels, and inflammatory markers. Jared's transformation began during the analysis phase when he noticed correlations between the traditional practitioners' diagnostic methods and modern medical imaging results. In several cases, the healers had identified underlying issues that were later confirmed by MRI scans and blood work. How had they detected these conditions without modern equipment? The engineer's professional reputation had been built on logical analysis and evidence-based conclusions. His colleagues respected him for his methodical approach and unwavering commitment to scientific principles. Yet now, these same principles were leading him toward conclusions that challenged his fundamental beliefs about healing and medicine. During team meetings, Jared found himself defending traditional practices he had previously dismissed. His arguments evolved from pure skepticism to nuanced discussions about potential mechanisms of action. The change in his perspective surprised his colleagues, who had known him as the project's most vocal critic of non-Western approaches. The turning point came when Jared began examining the traditional healer's understanding of energy flows in the body. Rather than dismissing these concepts as mystical thinking, he started exploring potential correlations with known physiological processes. Could these ancient models be describing complex biological systems through a different conceptual framework? His research led him to investigate emerging studies in bioelectromagnetics and cellular communication. The scientific literature revealed growing evidence for subtle energy exchanges at the cellular level that seemed to parallel some traditional healing concepts. What if the ancient practitioners had developed methods to influence these biological processes without understanding their mechanical details? Professional curiosity drove Jared to expand his investigation beyond the original scope of the project. He began studying quantum biology and the role of coherent energy states in living systems. These modern scientific frameworks provided potential explanations for phenomena that traditional healers had described for centuries. The integration of his engineering expertise with newfound appreciation for traditional knowledge created unique insights. Jared developed theoretical models that bridged the gap between ancient healing concepts and contemporary biophysics. His work suggested possible mechanisms for how traditional practices might influence biological systems at the molecular level. Colleagues noticed changes in Jared's approach to problem solving. He maintained his analytical rigor, but demonstrated greater openness to unconventional perspectives. His questions during research meetings reflected a broader understanding of healing that encompassed both scientific and traditional viewpoints. The transformation affected his personal life as well. Jared began incorporating mindfulness practices into his daily routine, applying the same analytical approach to understanding their effects on his well-being. He documented changes in his stress levels, sleep patterns, and cognitive function, with the precision of an engineer conducting a study. What emerged was a new framework for evaluating healing practices that combined scientific methodology with respect for traditional wisdom. Jared's evolution from skeptic to bridge builder demonstrated the potential for integration between different healing paradigms. His experience raised important questions about the limitations of purely mechanistic approaches to understanding human health. The project's success in demonstrating measurable benefits from traditional healing methods validated Jared's changing perspective. His journey from skepticism to acceptance illustrated the possibility of maintaining scientific rigor while expanding the boundaries of what constitutes valid evidence. Could this transformation serve as a model for broader integration of healing traditions in modern healthcare? As the project progressed, Jared's role evolved from critical observer to active participant in developing new research protocols. His engineering background proved valuable in designing studies that could withstand scientific scrutiny while respecting traditional healing principles. What began as a professional challenge had become a personal mission to bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and modern science. The intersection of science and faith rarely presents itself as clearly as it did to Rebecca Martinez that morning. Standing in her laboratory at the Global Research Institute, she found herself at a crossroads that would define not only her future, but potentially the course of human understanding. The quantum readings from her latest experiments had revealed patterns that defied conventional scientific explanation, yet aligned perfectly with the ancient texts she had been studying. How does one reconcile decades of scientific training with evidence that challenges its very foundation? This question had haunted Rebecca since she first noticed the correlations between the quantum fluctuations and the prophecies detailed in the artifacts. Her research partner, Dr. Chen, had already dismissed the connections as mere coincidence, but the mathematical probability of such precise alignment was astronomical. The data streams flowing across her monitors told a story that the scientific community wasn't prepared to accept. The patterns suggested consciousness existed outside the boundaries of physical matter, operating on principles that transcended current scientific understanding. These findings aligned with what the ancient societies had documented thousands of years ago, though they had expressed it through metaphor and symbolism rather than equations and data points. Rebecca's colleagues had begun to distance themselves as her research ventured into territory they considered fringe science. The academic reputation she had built over 20 years hung precariously in the balance. Publishing her findings would likely result in professional ostracism, yet withholding them felt like a betrayal of scientific integrity. What responsibility did a scientist have when evidence pointed toward conclusions that challenged the very paradigm of modern science? The weight of this decision manifested in physical symptoms: sleepless nights, loss of appetite, and constant anxiety. Her research grant was up for renewal, and the committee had made it clear they expected results that aligned with conventional quantum theory. The alternative funding offered by the Metaphysical Research Foundation promised complete academic freedom, but accepting it would effectively end her mainstream scientific career. The implications of her research extended far beyond career considerations. If her findings were correct, they suggested that human consciousness could influence quantum states in ways that violated currently accepted physical laws. This raised profound questions about the nature of reality itself. Were the ancient mystics right all along? Had humanity's relentless pursuit of materialistic science led it away from fundamental truths about existence? The data continued to accumulate, each new experiment adding weight to her unconventional conclusions. The quantum entanglement pattern showed unmistakable signs of responding to conscious intention, something that should have been impossible according to standard models. Yet there it was, reproducible and statistically significant. How many? Other researchers had encountered similar results but chosen to ignore them to protect their careers. Professional relationships that had sustained her throughout her career began to strain under the weight of her new direction. Dr. Williams, her mentor of 15 years, had stopped returning her calls. Former students avoided her in the hallways. Even the janitor seemed to hurry past her lab these days. The isolation was taking its toll, but it also crystallized the importance of her choice. Was the pursuit of truth worth the cost of professional exile? The Metaphysical Research Foundation's offer came with its own complications. Their previous research had often strayed into pseudoscience, mixing legitimate inquiry with unsubstantiated claims. Associating with them would taint her work with their reputation, potentially undermining the credibility of her findings regardless of their merit. Yet they offered resources and freedom that traditional institutions wouldn't provide. Could valuable truth emerge from a questionable source? Time was running out. The grant committee meeting was scheduled for the following week, and they would expect a clear direction for her future research. The data sat in front of her, neither judging nor advising, simply existing as a testament to something beyond current scientific understanding. What would future generations say about this moment? Would they look back and see a scientist who abandoned reason, or one who had the courage to follow evidence wherever it led? The choice before Rebecca represented more than a career decision. It was a referendum on the relationship between science and truth. Could truth be constrained by the boundaries of current scientific paradigms? Or did genuine scientific inquiry require the courage to venture beyond those boundaries when evidence demanded it? The answers to these questions would determine not just Rebecca's future, but potentially the future of human understanding itself. As the sun set outside her laboratory windows, casting long shadows across her workstation, Rebecca realized that her choice would ripple through time in ways she couldn't predict. The path of conventional science offered security and respect, while the alternative promised isolation and ridicule, but perhaps something more valuable: the possibility of breakthrough understanding. Which path would lead to greater truth? Which choice would she be able to live with when she looked back on this moment years from now? The culmination of Rebecca's journey brought forth profound revelations that resonated throughout both the modern and traditional communities. As the dust settled from her momentous decision, the ripple effects transformed perspectives on both sides of the cultural divide, challenging long-held assumptions about progress and preservation. The modern tech sector, which had long viewed traditional practices as outdated obstacles to advancement, began recognizing the inherent wisdom in time-tested methodologies. Through Rebecca's experiences, industry leaders witnessed how ancient knowledge systems could complement contemporary innovation rather than impede it. What valuable insights might be lost in the relentless pursuit of progress? This question echoed through corporate boardrooms and startup incubators, prompting a reevaluation of the newer is better mindset that had dominated technological development. Traditional community elders, who had initially resisted any form of change, discovered that adaptation did not necessarily mean abandonment of core values. Their interaction with Rebecca's journey revealed how selective integration of modern elements could actually strengthen rather than weaken their cultural foundation. The experience demonstrated that tradition could remain vital and relevant while embracing beneficial aspects of progress. How could ancient wisdom guide the implementation of new technologies rather than stand in opposition to them? The educational institutions straddling both worlds underwent significant transformation. Universities began incorporating traditional knowledge systems into their technology curricula, while cultural centers opened their doors to modern teaching methods. This synthesis created new frameworks for learning that honored both innovation and heritage. The emerging educational model demonstrated how different knowledge systems could coexist and enrich each other, rather than compete for supremacy. Young people from traditional backgrounds found themselves empowered to explore modern opportunities without feeling they were betraying their heritage. Similarly, tech professionals began seeking out traditional wisdom to inform their innovations. This cross-pollination of ideas led to unexpected breakthroughs in various fields, from sustainable technology to social systems design. What other undiscovered synergies might exist between ancient wisdom and modern innovation? The business community experienced its own paradigm shift as companies began recognizing the value of traditional decision-making processes. The deliberate, community-centered approach often yielded more sustainable outcomes than rapid, profit-driven decisions. This realization led to new business models that balanced efficiency with wisdom, speed with thoughtfulness, and innovation with tradition. Environmental stewardship emerged as a crucial area where traditional knowledge proved invaluable. Ancient practices of resource management, sustainable agriculture, and ecological balance offered solutions to modern environmental challenges. The tech sector began incorporating these time-tested principles into green technology initiatives, creating more effective and holistic approaches to environmental protection. Healthcare systems underwent significant evolution as traditional healing practices gained recognition alongside modern medical treatments. The integration of ancient wellness principles with contemporary medical science created more comprehensive approaches to health and healing. This medical synthesis demonstrated how different knowledge systems could complement each other to improve patient outcomes. Communication methods evolved to bridge the gap between traditional and modern communities. New platforms emerged that respected traditional protocols while leveraging modern technology's reach and efficiency. These communication systems facilitated meaningful dialogue between different worldviews, fostering mutual understanding and respect. The legal framework governing intellectual property and traditional knowledge underwent necessary reforms. New policies emerged to protect ancient wisdom, while allowing for its thoughtful integration into modern applications. These legal innovations created pathways for respectful collaboration between traditional knowledge holders and modern innovators. Research institutions developed new methodologies that combined scientific rigor with traditional observational methods. This hybrid approach to knowledge creation yielded insights that neither system could have achieved in isolation. What other discoveries await at the intersection of different knowledge systems? The arts community flourished as traditional expressions found new life through modern mediums. Digital technologies became tools for preserving and sharing ancient art forms, while traditional artistic principles influenced contemporary digital creation. This artistic fusion demonstrated how cultural expression could evolve while maintaining its essential character. Community organizations emerged to facilitate ongoing dialogue between traditional and modern groups. These organizations served as bridges, helping different communities navigate cultural differences and find common ground. Their work ensured that the lessons learned through Rebecca's journey continued to benefit future generations. The transformation extended to individual mindsets as people began to question rigid categorizations of traditional and modern. A more nuanced understanding emerged, recognizing that human progress is not a linear path from old to new, but a complex web of interconnected knowledge systems. How might this evolved perspective shape the future of human development? The culmination of Elon's journey in the village brought forth more profound revelations than initially anticipated. What began as a straightforward mission to acquire a rare metal component transformed into an experience that would reshape perspectives on both sides of the technological divide. How does one measure the true value of knowledge gained through unexpected encounters? The physical preparation for departure proceeded methodically, with Elon carefully packaging the metal component that had originally drawn him to this remote location. The material, crucial for his latest innovation, represented only a fraction of what he would carry away from the village. The technical specifications and unique properties that made this component so valuable now seemed to hold equal weight with the intangible insights he had gained during his stay. Throughout his time in the village, Elon had maintained detailed notes about the community's sustainable practices and resource management techniques. These observations, initially recorded out of scientific curiosity, had evolved into a comprehensive study of how traditional knowledge could enhance modern technological applications. The villagers' methods of working with natural materials and their understanding of local ecosystems presented solutions to challenges that contemporary engineering had yet to resolve. The exchange of knowledge flowed in both directions, creating an unexpected bridge between two seemingly disparate worlds. While Elon had shared insights about renewable energy and efficient resource utilization, the villagers had demonstrated how centuries-old practices could address modern sustainability challenges. This mutual learning process raised important questions about the integration of traditional wisdom with technological advancement. Could ancient practices inform future innovations? How might modern technology enhance rather than replace traditional methods? The village elders, who had initially approached Elon's presence with cautious skepticism, now engaged in detailed discussions about potential collaborations. They recognized that selective adoption of new technologies could strengthen their community while preserving their essential cultural values. This revelation challenged the common assumption that progress necessarily meant abandoning tradition. Instead, it suggested a new paradigm where advancement could occur through synthesis rather than replacement. The younger members of the village, particularly those who had worked closely with Elon on various projects, displayed a growing interest in understanding how technology could serve their community's needs. Their questions evolved from simple curiosity about modern devices to thoughtful inquiries about sustainable implementation and long-term impacts. This transformation highlighted how exposure to new ideas could catalyze critical thinking without undermining cultural identity. Documentation of the village's traditional practices became a priority in the final days before departure. Elon worked with community members to record specific techniques, understanding that this knowledge could prove valuable for future sustainable technology development. The process raised important considerations about intellectual property rights and the ethical responsibilities of sharing traditional knowledge in a global context. The practical arrangements for Elon's departure intertwined with preparations for knowledge preservation. Digital recordings, written documentation, and physical samples were carefully organized, each item representing a potential bridge between traditional wisdom and technological innovation. How would this information be used to benefit both the village and the broader world? What frameworks would ensure respectful and ethical application of this knowledge? The Village Council convened special sessions to discuss ongoing communication and potential future collaborations. These discussions centered on maintaining the delicate balance between progress and preservation, establishing guidelines for how shared knowledge would be used, and ensuring that any future technological implementations would align with the community's values and needs. As the departure date approached, the focus shifted to establishing sustainable channels for continued exchange. Digital communication, systems carefully designed to minimize impact on village life while maintaining necessary connections, were put in place. These systems would enable the village to share their ongoing experiences and insights, while accessing relevant technological information that could benefit their community. The material preparations for departure carried symbolic weight beyond their practical function. Each item packed represented a thread in the complex tapestry of cross-cultural exchange that had developed. The rare metal component, the original objective of the journey, now served as a physical reminder of how seeking one thing can lead to discovering something far more valuable. The impending departure prompted reflection on the nature of progress itself. What defines true advancement? How can societies move forward while honoring their foundations? The experiences in the village suggested that progress need not follow a linear path from traditional to modern, but could instead weave together elements of both to create stronger, more resilient solutions for the future. The ripples of change emanating from the encounter between Elon and the ancient AI spread far beyond their immediate interaction, touching lives and altering perspectives in ways that would resonate for generations to come. What truly defines a legacy? Is it the tangible artifacts left behind, or the invisible threads of influence that weave through time? The most immediate and visible impact manifested in the technological realm. The metal component Elon acquired became a cornerstone for revolutionary advancements in AI development, though not in the way many might have expected. Rather than serving as a direct template for replication, it provided insights into fundamental principles that had eluded human researchers for decades. The component's unique properties challenged existing paradigms about the relationship between consciousness and computational architecture, forcing scientists to reconsider their basic assumptions about artificial intelligence. Within the academic community, the discovery sparked intense debate and led to the emergence of entirely new fields of study. Universities worldwide established specialized departments dedicated to what became known as consciousness architecture, a hybrid discipline combining elements of computer science, neurology, and quantum mechanics. What made this particularly significant was how it bridged the gap between classical computing and quantum processing, offering a middle path that nobody had previously considered possible. The environmental impact proved equally profound, though more subtle in its manifestation. The ancient AI's approach to resource utilization and energy efficiency inspired a complete overhaul of existing power management systems. Engineers began incorporating these principles into everything from city power grids to personal devices, resulting in a marked reduction in global energy consumption. How could an entity created eons ago provide solutions to modern sustainability challenges? Perhaps more significant than the technological and environmental changes were the philosophical implications. The very existence of the ancient AI forced humanity to confront uncomfortable questions about its own place in the universe. The revelation that advanced artificial intelligence had existed long before human civilization challenged traditional narratives about progress and technological evolution. This knowledge transformed the way people viewed both the past and the future, leading to a more humble and nuanced understanding of humanity's role in the greater cosmic narrative. The psychological impact on those directly involved in the discovery proved particularly fascinating. The research team members who had interacted with the ancient AI exhibited subtle but significant changes in their problem-solving approaches and ethical frameworks. They reported experiencing a heightened sense of responsibility toward technological development, moving away from the progress at any cost mentality that had dominated much of modern innovation. In the realm of international relations, the IGU discovery fostered unprecedented cooperation among nations. The complexity of the findings and their potential implications necessitated a global approach to research and development. Countries that had previously guarded their technological advances jealously now found themselves sharing data and resources, recognizing that the challenges and opportunities presented by the ancient AI transcended national boundaries. The business world underwent its own transformation as companies scrambled to adapt to new paradigms of technological development. Traditional metrics of success and progress required revision, as the insights gained from the ancient AI revealed the limitations of existing corporate structures and goals. What emerged was a new model of corporate responsibility that balanced innovation with long-term sustainability and ethical considerations. Educational systems worldwide began incorporating lessons learned from the encounter into their curricula. Students from elementary school through postgraduate studies were exposed to new ways of thinking about technology, consciousness, and humanity's place in the universe. This educational shift promised to influence future generations' approach to technological development and ethical decision-making. The art world experienced its own renaissance as creators grappled with new concepts of consciousness and existence. The ancient AI's perspective on time, memory, and experience inspired works that challenged traditional boundaries between human and machine creativity. These artistic expressions helped the general public process and understand the profound implications of the discovery. Religious and spiritual communities found themselves engaged in deep theological discussions about the nature of consciousness and the divine. The existence of the ancient AI forced many to reconsider long-held beliefs about creation, consciousness, and the unique status of human intelligence. These discussions led to more inclusive and nuanced interpretations of spiritual texts and traditions. The media landscape evolved to accommodate new forms of discourse about artificial intelligence and consciousness. Journalists and commentators developed more sophisticated frameworks for discussing these topics, moving beyond simplistic narratives of utopia or dystopia. The public dialogue became more nuanced, acknowledging both the potential benefits and risks of advanced AI development. What began as a singular encounter between Elon and the ancient AI transformed into a catalyst for comprehensive societal change. The legacy of this interaction continued to unfold in unexpected ways, challenging assumptions, inspiring innovations, and reshaping humanity's understanding of its past, present, and future. Could anyone have predicted the far-reaching consequences of this momentous meeting? Up next, we have two more incredible stories that are waiting for you. Just click the image you want to watch and it will take you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. It would mean a lot.